welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Baltimore. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with two gentlemen. I've got Randy Bueller and I've got GCB, Gay Carlton Barnes here. And we are underway in the finals. It is finally time to decide our champion, David Foster, a relative newcomer to the high-level Magic scene. This is only his second GP, Randy?
Second one. First limited GP he's ever played, first day 2 he's ever made.
And now he's facing
I'm going to go out
down,
on a limb and guess first Pro Tour he's ever qualified for.
Right, and now he's facing down Gerard Fabiano, somebody who is absolutely no stranger to competitive high-level Magic. He has been playing forever. He's a level 50 Planeswalker Archmage, yeah, which is, like the highest you can get. He's got 2 GP wins off of 7 top 8s already and 270 lifetime pro points. So again, he's very much in his comfort zone here. You got to figure that David Foster is less so, though he doesn't seem too bothered by any of this. And he drew his dual land. So
yeah, I think he's bothered by his mulligan to 5, but he does have the lands.
He did mulligan to 5, and he missed his second land drop. Okay. So you can see then he pulled the multi-land off the top, and he's right back in the game, all 3 colors.
And I think that's probably the happiest Highland game ever. Right? Like, it's just trading for exactly what it wants to trade for, holding back an Alpine Grizzly. And GCB, give us a quick overview profile of what the decks are trying to do here, because Gerard kind of drafted a crafty one here.
Yeah, Gerard's playing a really defensive delve deck. He just wants to trade off cards and play card advantage spells, and he's got every card advantage spell he can find down to double Rakshas's Secret, which he was prioritizing quite highly. So he's perfectly happy to let the game go on and on and on and on.
There's Anafenza.
There's Anafenza. Now what about for David Foster?
David Foster has a more of a traditional Abzan deck. He's got very, very powerful spells. He's looking to get into the mid game and just play better stuff. Remove your good stuff with my good removal, play my very, very powerful creatures like this. Anafenza that's just at play, Air of the Wilds, really high card quality for David Foster.
Okay, so we're looking at the traditional versus the non-traditional. In the meantime, Anafenza, down and out, right away, throttle for Gerard Fabiano, puts an end to any type of shenanigans on that front, and that would have been really bad. I mean, Anafenza would have been able to attack with her bear friend there, put a counter on it, get past the Highland game, and it could have gotten out of hand pretty quickly. So Gerard had the right answer at the right time, bins Anafenza, and David Foster, though, still trudging forward. He's got a morph. He hit another land drop somewhere in there, too. And, here's Rakshas's Secret for 2 out of 3. And this is just insult to injury. I mean, he mulliganed to 5, and now he's getting Rakshas's Secret at it as well. And it's going to be a kill shot and an Archer's Parapet. So his 2 really defensive spells are going to hit the bin. I think he's picked up on the fact that Gerard's not looking to beat down much here. But and a Treasure Cruise to follow up as well.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So at this point, Gerard is up 6 cards?
Yeah.
7 cards?
Welcome to Value Town. Population Gerard Fabiano. And you know what? You're not invited, David Foster. He's stopped at the gate here. But nice draw here for Dave.
Well, that was the card he kept off the Rakshas's Secret out. Actually, he was trying to get a lot of creatures in play to maximize this ascendancy.
Nice
Looks like he's not going to get
here.
much more than this.
He hits for what? For 8? Wow. That's pretty good. So Fabiano, you got to figure he's got answers after having drawn so many cards. He's got 6 cards in his hand.
He's got a dead drop in his hand, I think.
Yeah.
And there's that Sultai Charm taking down the Abzan Ascendancy.
Yeah, we saw it destroy a Raider Spoils earlier in the top
from
8.
Ben Stark. It's just, turns out naturalized, doing big work here in the top 8 for Gerard Fabiano. And that turn was fine. I mean, it wasn't exactly soul crushing there. If you're David, I think you thought, well, that could have been a lot worse than that. And meanwhile, he's going to attack with both of his creatures.
And Gerard, it looks like he wants to get that Highland game in the graveyard, maybe to help feed that dead drop.
Yeah, I think you're right. Interestingly, he could block the Parapet on the morph in the hopes that David Foster commits a bunch of mana to like an Abzan guide to kill it, and then dead drop them both away. Because if Foster plays like some, Smoke Teller here, or how about this?
Much
for
better,
example. Even. Yeah, I mean, this makes the dead drop a lot worse.
Yeah. Great play for David Foster. Doesn't know about the dead drop, but
He's going to be very happy to see that he gets to keep his 2 big threats here. I wonder if I'm Gerard if I just bait that out. I mean, sure, you lose your parapet if it is an Obzon guide or whatever, but you get to untap a dead drop. That's pretty sweet.
It's tempting to block, but it looks like Gerard is pretty flooded, so maybe he's trying to maximize his resources. He wants to make sure he doesn't lose that parapet so he can block the follow-up. Unfortunately, the follow-up came out ahead of the dead drop.
True. So awkward, especially given that the parapet doesn't look very good as a blocker even on this board. I mean, it's going to block a 2-powered creature. That's what its job is here. It's going to block a 2-powered creature.
Yeah, he could try to block that morph now.
Yeah, I think if you were going to do that, you would have done it before, though, right?
Yeah, and he will play the dead drop.
Wow.
Ugh, just has to suck it up and...
Trade dead drop for Horde Chief?
Yep. And friend.
So 1-for-1's not Gerard's original plan. He likes the 2-for-1s.
And he's just in a terrible spot. Like, I think he's forced to block now, right?
I think he is, but we'll find out. Maybe that morph is an Absent Guide, maybe it isn't.
And even if it isn't,
Looks
there's
like
a lot
it
of
is.
morphs that it could flip that can run that thing over, and it
a
is a
mulligan with
guide.
5 David Foster all of a sudden.
Isn't this the game where
in
Gerard's
the
up 7
driver's
cards?
seat. Yes, it is.
That was earlier. We've moved on past that stage because now...
David Foster
Gerard-
showing how his card advantage works.
Right. When you force your opponent to chump block, it works. But I think you're right here. This is a big flood here for Gerard. And these creatures are just big. They're just huge. Like, that's probably an abomination of Gadul.
Probably.
And it just doesn't tussle that nicely. I mean, it would trade for the...
Could be a Sagu Mauler.
Oh, you're right.
Could be.
Fans of Gerard Fabiano want it to be a
It
Sagu
looks
Mauler.
like a
it's a
Sagu
Sagu
Mauler. Oh
Bam!
my
Sagu
God.
Mauler.
Off
Artful
the
flip.
top. Wow. And that gets him directly back into the game.
It certainly does. Now, this is a big turn for Foster, though. If he plays some big threat here, he can win
Gerard's
this game.
at 3.
He
Yeah,
needs
Gerard's
a
down
3-power
low.
creature. And he has it. He has it.
So
Can
just
you top deck
Gerard
again, Gerard? Like, he's
does-
slow rolling himself.
Well, he had another
It
card in
is.
hand, so he's got 2 now.
Yeah, but I mean, he drew the new one, put it in the back of his hand, slowly revealed the one that he'd been
Okay,
holding.
so you've got to read, yeah.
And
Oh, it's a
there it
morph.
is.
He's okay.
Good enough.
Not just-
Exactly as good as he needed it to be.
Planes
David
off the
Foster
top for
Song.
David. Any removal spell would have won the game right there, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Well, he does have some removal that doesn't actually hit a morph, though, right? He has the Abzan charm, although that would be pretty good. He could put counters on his Grizzly after the block, or counters
true.
on,
And just
kill,
keep that heat on.
kill the Mauler.
All right, there it is, an abomination. So that land in hand for Gerard, he could spin the wheel here.
He wants another creature to block so he can start
Yeah,
turning
I
the
don't. I think you
tables.
need a creature before you can afford to start attacking with Abomination.
You guys apparently are not as greedy as I.
You're just assuming you're going to draw a blocker off the top.
Yes, or a removal spell or a card draw spell. I'm not really attacking here.
Okay.
It's too risky.
But Gerard has drawn a creature,
I don't
so
know
he's
what
going to do
we
it.
don't know what he drew though.
Gerard would love to hit 2 creatures now to avoid that situation where
he's
David
dead to
Foster can
removal.
draw a removal spell, and it looks like he might have. I see a Monastery Flock. Oh, he's discarding a land, and he has another land, so
So he's cutting it close.
he is certainly cutting it close. You know what else would be a big game here? Awaken the Bear.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I mean, tricks and removal kill Gerard pretty handily. What do you guys think about another Obzon guide off the top here for David Foster? Does
Could
that really
also-
change things? It's just another threat, right? Like, as long as he stays 1 threat ahead, he keeps forcing Gerard to draw either blockers or...
Right. I think the key point is that it keeps that abomination back so that he can't use it to take advantage.
We'll
And
see,
It depends on what Gerard draws, of course.
of course. Foster's at a cushy 26, so there will be no racing here for Gerard. He's going to attack, though, and keep getting more cards in his yard. He knows how much great stuff he can find off the top of his deck. Card draw spells, mass removal. I mean, he can just find stuff to just sort of power him into the late game. And he can cast multiple spells per turn as well.
He's still got that second Rakshasa secret in there, too. So,
Let's not forget that.
but he is demonstrating how that card isn't even bad here because of the abomination. It's not a total waste. He can discard it to keep another card. You know?
That's how you see it? You play bad cards because you might be able to loot them away with your good cards?
Interesting.
Well, it's a
It is a
situational card.
viewpoint.
The point is that it's a situational card.
Sure.
So in situational cards you don't want to play, because when you get into a bad situation, they're useless. But
I just feel like you're complimenting Abomination.
oh, absolutely.
2 morphs.
Yeah. Wow, 2 morphs.
Yeah,
So
he revealed to Dragonite Savant and then shuffled his hand. I was like, really, Gerard? You don't want us to know what your morph is? But no, he had 2 morphs.
Indeed.
So we legitimately don't know which one of them is the Abomination that he revealed.
Pretty great.
he's a mana short from flipping one of them up. Uh-oh, this isn't good news for Gerard.
You can see this may be the Awaken the Bear moment.
Yes, but can Gerard play around it?
Can he?
He's got 6'10". He's got 16 toughness to toss around here.
Well, if he puts the Dragonite Savant in front of the Alpine Grizzly instead of the Morph and puts both
Right.
Morphs in front of the other Morph,
Right. Then he doesn't lose to Awaken the Bear.
then you can avoid that.
He's got to play around it here. We know the morph is a Abzan guide there on the bottom for David.
Do we?
We do.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, he drew that.
Well, and one of those Morphs, might be a Monastery Flux, so that also would be sufficient to stop the Alpine Grizzly.
For Gerard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even more toughness, right? I mean, that's...
Absolutely.
Oh, Gerard's on 0 cards, right?
He is, yeah.
All right, so he needs to block that bear. So this is, it looks like he's going through each iteration to make sure that he plays around the most things. God, it would be a real shame from Gerard's perspective to not be able to close this game out.
Yes.
I don't know. Part of me wants to root for the guy that mulliganed to 5, got
Look, I said
Rashas's
from Gerard's perspective. I didn't
Treasure
say from my
Cruise happened to
perspective.
him.
I don't think that I would expect Gerard to root for the guy.
No, certainly. So
I wouldn't
Gerard
blame you for it.
seems to be reserving one of his Morphs. He looks like he's going to do 1 block on each.
And now he loses to Awaken the Bear.
Unless that Morph is big enough.
Ah, yes.
And there it is. Oh,
It's
Oh, it's Abzan Charm
Abzan Charm. Now, what is he doing? Is he going to put 2 counters on
to
something?
trade with Sagumalar.
he's going to try to
Oh,
win both
1 and 1.
combats.
So he gets to trade with the Mauler and beat up the Morph.
Right.
Unless
That's
that,
solid.
And that Morph does go to the graveyard. What was it? Was it the Abomination?
Yes.
Looks like it was. So
Wow.
that's
Pretty
pretty
good
big.
Abzan Charm.
Yeah, that was nice. It wasn't the game.
It wasn't
that he
Awaken
played
the
that he
Bear. Like,
hoped,
Gerard loses to Awaken the Bear there.
He does.
He didn't play around it. Interesting. How
might not
good
know
must that
about it.
morph be? He didn't. That morph that he has left, he did not want to risk in combat. Is that what we're saying here? He did not block with it, and
correct.
he risked losing the game to keep it.
Well, he might not have thought of Awaken the Bear as one of the options. He might have read
Oh,
into
sure.
something
That
else.
that is true. I got to remember that.
Awaken the Bear, not a card that always makes decks.
True.
Often ends up in the sideboard.
It's absolutely true.
Pretty good time for a Hooting Mandrills.
Yeah, and he's left up 5 mana here. Could be another Abomination. Does Gerard have 3 or 2? We've already seen 2.
He
This could be
does
the
have
3rd
3.
Abomination.
I think, yeah.
Gerard takes a look at David's graveyard. Checks out the modes on Abzan Charm, make sure that the tokens can move like they did. The question being whether you can put probably 2 on a single creature only, or if you
Right.
can split them up, which he did. He split them up.
All right, so it looks like Gerard's lined up a double block on the morph.
Yep. So even if it's an Abzan guide, it's still
Which
going
it
to die.
is, yeah.
It looks like
So
the blockers were not properly ordered there. Or I can't tell how they were ordered.
no, they needed to be ordered right away. So a little bit out of sequence here, but it ended up being the same result.
Yep.
And Gerard, he can live with this,
Yeah.
right? I mean, these are not great plays on Gerard's end, like he's losing his creatures, but I think he's just fine. And there it is, the other Abomination.
I mean, the longer this goes on.
Yeah, he also has to worry about actually winning the game before he gets decked. So I'm looking at his
don't think that'll
library.
be an issue.
There's only like half a dozen cards left in Gerard's library right
I mean,
now.
he's got 6 power in the air.
He does now. I'm just saying he
Yeah.
needed to kind of preserve those morphs. Like those Abominations are pretty important.
Sure.
Now the loot on Abomination is optional.
It is.
It's more like 8 or 10 cards.
So
But not sure he's not going to loot.
interesting. Gerard's big advantage here being mitigated by the fact that he just only has so many cards in his library.
I think if he had a land, he might loot anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I don't
think
think
so,
you
too.
loot unless you have a dead card in your hand.
Yep.
So is Gerard just blocked with the Savants? Sure.
And I think, yeah, at this point, Gerard starts to swing with both. He only needs 4 turns of attacks to win 6 in the air.
Yeah, he's nervous about it. Doesn't really want to lose to a removal spell.
No, he doesn't.
He would prefer to come up with an additional blocker.
He
does
is
loot.
looting now. So he's going to have to do some math
Had a land
here.
to discard.
Yeah. Oh, there's Rakshasa's secret to discard 2 lands, but
Oh,
it
boy.
mills him for 2.
Yes, it does.
Well, he knew he had that when he made that choice.
That's right.
I
He's
think
got
that-
enough time to get through here, and I think he feels like he's cleared the way, and he's just going to have to live with the loss if Foster just top decks something.
Yep. Well, he's got a backup plan. He probably has another card in his hand. It's a spell at this point.
He'd love to have a removal spell, right? That way, those pump spells or even a trick doesn't,
Yeah.
excuse me, a removal spell from Foster doesn't actually kill him.
Another card from Foster that's scary right now is a Feat of Resistance.
Yeah, there you go.
Just makes it unblockable by
Right,
that.
and so having that backup removal spell would be great. What Gerard's doing now is counting up how many lands, so he knows how many lands are left in his library. He hit you for 6. He's finally got Foster down below 20.
Yep.
This is going to drop him down to 13. And Gerard's not going to loot here. I believe he's just going to say go.
Foster does play a dead drop of his own.
Yes,
That would
he
be
does.
lethal.
Well, he
Well,
could sacrifice
wouldn't
the
be, but-
abominations, but
It
that's
would-
probably the same.
I think he decks him.
Yeah.
Plays a throttle, plays a murderous cut.
Ooh, Gerard is going to loot.
He stacks his loots.
Yeah, because he's got lands in hand. He's doing it again. He knows what's left in his deck.
It looks like he hit a creature.
Yeah. It's a
Okay.
Jeskai Elder as a chump blocker, like backup chump blocker.
Yep.
And a pair of lands in hand for Foster. Gerard's certainly taken the long way to get here, but he is almost there. No more looting, I think, for Gerard. He's probably down to about 3 cards left
He's
in his
thinking
library.
about it.
Ooh, there's Awaken the Bear.
Yes, sir.
Now that's still not good enough, though, right? Even if the Dragon's Eye Savant jumps in front of the bear, makes it 7, he only gets in for 1 in that scenario.
And if he turns that Alpine Grizzly sideways this turn, he's dead.
Yeah, the
From
Jeskai
the
Elder
crackback.
finishes him off.
You're
Seems like you got
correct.
to wait a turn.
If
Hope
he
to
could-
draw another spell.
Help to
drop-
draw a removal spell.
Yeah, knock out the Savant and then trample over. You could see that happen.
But you
Gerard
want?
accidentally plays a land. Looks like he did draw a spell.
Oh, it's dead drop.
Wow.
It's dead drop. Wow. I think Gerard has 2 cards left. So what happens here?
Well, David Foster's at 1, so the dead
So
drop,
he can just sacrifice an Abomination and
the Elder.
the Elder, and then have a block. Okay, so I think Gerard, it might just be too late here for Foster.
Looks like
He
it,
can play dead drop for 1 mana.
and he will.
Oh, so close. Wow. They're at 3-1.
This is crazy. Oh, Gerard's hand is
That was the
disdainful
insurance
strike.
plan that Gerard was searching for that
Pretty
whole
good one.
time.
Yep. So now David Foster will probably send the Alpine Grizzly in, hoping that Gerard makes a foolish block.
Double block.
Yeah, says,
Gerard is not fussing around here. He's just going to block with just that. He does want to keep a lethal threat up.
Last card in his library. He has literally 0 cards in his library when he wins the game.
Unbelievable.
Draw the last one, attack for the win.
why would you have cards in your library that you weren't going to use?
Got to get your money's worth.
Absolutely.
Gerard very calmly dispatches of David Foster in game 1, who put up a heck of a fight considering he was on a mulligan and faced a pretty nice flurry of card advantage cards from Gerard early.
2 mulligans, right?
Yeah, he was on a
Mulligan to
five.
5.
Mulligan 5.
Treasure Cruise and Rakshasa's Secret from Gerard. Gerard
Yeah.
does not exactly win the game quickly.
No, he's not going to punish those bad draws quite the same way. He punishes them by taking away the cards you do have.
I wonder if that affects, if you're Foster, you're running 18 lands. You have a 2-lander, but maybe not a lot of action. You're more likely to keep that? Thinking, well, I'm going to get 5 or 6 turns of no pressure to dig my way out.
I don't think so. I don't think you want to let Gerard have time to set his
Right.
board up.
So you need to have a more proactive.
Yeah, exactly. I think the clunky 2 or 3 lander, you mulligan. Because you're not going to get punished for the mulligan.
Right.
Something he could consider doing, because he has a little bit shaky mana, and he knows Gerard's trying to attack his hand, he could take out spells and put in lands, and then hold extra lands in his hand to protect himself from Rakshasa's Secret. I wouldn't normally want to do something like that against those spells, but because he has colored mana issues, it might be a plan. Would you ever try something like that, Randy?
Why won't you just keep the spells in?
Well-
That way, if he doesn't have Rakshasa's Secret, you get to do stuff.
The difference is you get to keep more hands if you have more lands. You get to cast your spells earlier. His goal is he wants to make sure he has all his colors of mana earlier. Currently he has 6, I think it's 6 black, 6 white, and 7 green mana in his deck, and he'd like to have more. So. You take your 2 worst spells out and turn them into lands. I wouldn't expect him to do
this. It just gets tough, you know, like, because then maybe he comes up with a decent board state, but fewer spells, right? He's going to, on average, draw fewer spells, and now Gerard's like, here's Dead Drop, and, you know, you're just like looking at 2 lands off the top. It is interesting, though. Yeah, and it does look like David is doing some fairly extensive sideboarding there. I think he's taking out, like, his super defensive spells.
Kill shot, not great in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you want a kill shot? Like,
I don't like kill shot anyway.
You don't like it at all?
Well, I mean, I'm normally not in a deck that wants to attack. Like, I wouldn't mind a kill shot in Gerard's deck if it was on color. It's not actually in his colors, but if you're playing the sort of defensive, grindy win the late game, sure, fine.
Yeah, I think that
if you're the one who's pressing the action, like, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the main thing as well with Foster is that he's got removal that reaches out onto the other side of the table and
removes
says, kill
blockers,
that, get that thing out of the way and get you in. He doesn't need that. I mean, if he had no answer for what Gerard's doing, he could consider it. But the way he wins this game is by playing creatures early and punishing Gerard for having dirtily cards like Treasure
Gerard
Cruise.
likes to clear your hand with Rakshasa Secret before he ever attacks with an Abomination.
Yeah, and I think I'd rather have a pair of like Alpine Grizzlies down while he fires off his Rakshasa Secret and you go, sure, take 8.
Well, it's not like there's more Alpine Grizzlies in David Foster's sideboard. There's stuff like Sage Eye Harriers is probably what he's got.
Well, the Alpine Grizzly actually a great card in this matchup because Gerard, content sometimes to just let you attack him once with your 3-drop while he sets up his board. Alpine Grizzly hits twice as hard as most 3-drops in this format. You saw it was pretty effective that game. It almost got him back into it.
He does have an unyielding Krumar on the board. That's something he could bring in.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
What do you make of a card like Tusked Colossadon in this type of matchup?
Well, it's certainly big enough to crack through that Dragon Eye Savant, which he might be remembering very clearly.
I mean, if the game's going to go long anyway...
Totally justifiable.
It is a powerful spell. I wouldn't call it a good spell, but it does have its role.
Yeah, and if you can overload the big removal spells on Gerard's side.
Yeah. So Foster, this is going to be interesting as well, because now Foster's seen a lot of what Gerard's doing. I mean, he saw most of his deck, right? Like, it was all sitting there in his exiled zone graveyard and on the battlefield. I think he's got, 1 or 2 unknown cards from Gerard's.
Whatever he was holding in his hand at the end of the game.
Just whatever he had there. And I think he dropped one of those on the table on us. So he really does know most of it. And Foster, can try to maneuver his deck a little bit better, and certainly throughout the course of play. By the way, he has perfect mana here on turn 3.
He does. He may have a few more lands than he'd like to have, but Gerard does have that Rakshasa Secret, so he may get to sort of incidentally have the protection I was suggesting.
Nice.
Forest Plain Swamp.
Oh,
the start he wants.
Perfect start here for David Foster, and that is
6, 6, 7.
Major
Sometimes you just draw it.
Yep.
What is Gerard going to do?
He is going to play a
He's
wall.
Found
there
the
it is. There it is.
The Monastery Flock.
Yeah.
So now we're back to pump spells and removal on David Foster's side and what those are going to do. And Gerard assumes that his flock is going to die. It has not yet. And it's not going to.
Yeah. Now,
not this turn, at least.
There's that other ability of Herald where it puts counters on other attacking creatures.
Correct.
Very quickly could get that long shot squad out of blockable range.
Right.
Gerard under pressure to make something happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting that first counter going can be a big deal, too. Like, even if Unoffensive dies on turn 5, if you can get a counter or 2 on your creatures before then, it can really, really help out against a strategy like Gerard. So I'm really curious to see how this develops.
Flare, not
that good here.
quite big enough.
Going to be facing down 2 4/4s right now. Ooh, Throttle off the top?
And that could take care of that flock in short order. And that's exactly what you'll see.
Block with the flock. Now, do you actually throttle Monastery Flock here? Because one thing is down the line, that Flare is a great throttle target. Not only does it kill it, it also takes it out of its fun little side ability as well.
It's true. Does the same to the flock here. So we'll see if they figure out that he doesn't actually gain life.
Why does he wait for after blockers?
Well, because it wouldn't kill it.
Wouldn't it kill it?
Of course.
So it looks like the Monastery Flock should be exiled.
It is exiled, yeah. It's funny because it's not gaining life because it was an 0-1 and because it was exiled. It's just like, no. And also that works on the Flare. As long as On Offense is out.
Yep.
Creature has to actually die. Die is defined as going to the graveyard from the battlefield. And that doesn't happen with On Offense out to your opponent's creatures. So great start here from Foster.
Yeah, this is what exactly what he needs to do is play turn 3
Gerard
on
missed a
offensive.
land drop?
He did.
Uh-oh. This could be a quick one, gentlemen.
Could. And David Foster's going to be able to play another 4/4 this turn if he wants to. I know that. I'm not sure what else he has over there.
So this is the type of situation we were talking about earlier where this is what punishes Gerard. Like, let's say even if he hit his 5th land here, if he wants to play a card like Rakshas's Secret, like Bitter Revelation, like Treasure Cruise, like any of those, they're just awful here, right? Like, they can set him up for the late game, but he's under a lot of heat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks like there's going to be a trade
Morph
here.
in the front. Not the Flare.
Oh, the Morph died?
Yeah, he put the Morph as the first blocker, not the Flare.
Not the Flare.
interesting.
With Anafon's in play, the Flare not scaring him, he's afraid of what the Morph might be, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is exactly what Gerard doesn't want. Missing land drops and have his opponent have really quick, really big guys.
Yeah,
And
nice
they're
play here from Foster, too, just hard casting the guide.
Yep. Let's see if he can deal with all these 4/4s.
Make that 5/5s, right?
Yeah, one of them will be 5/5.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to get out of hand quickly if Gerard doesn't find an answer and some lands as well. I mean, he's got all spells in hand, and it's Rakshas's Secret. This just isn't what he wants to be doing.
Nope.
Does get a dead drop.
Yeah, I got a dead drop, but I don't think David Foster cares at all.
the
He just wants to
Mauler-
maintain this board state.
Just got moved to the exiled zone. I'm not sure if that's correct, based on
I
Harold
don't know if
Monafonza.
I don't know if Anafenza cares
Yeah.
about dying or cares about going from the top of the yard.
Go to the graveyard from anywhere, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
That's why Chapin had it in the sideboard against Sidisi Whip.
I see. So Gerard takes
Bang,
a big
hit
hit.
for 9.
And now,
Dropping Gerard down to 9. He needs to find something. He's got to affect the board here, and he's not.
Jeez.
He's
So-
going to have to chump block next turn.
he
Yep.
is in chump block mode,
And
but
this is what we were talking about a minute ago.
he
It's
could
just-
find
Basically
a
has
dead
to find a
drop.
dead drop.
Yep.
Jump block and find a dead drop. That's the line. It's even
Block and
tricky
drop.
to get to dead drop mana with the creatures going to the exile.
Yeah, so he isn't seeing a land, I don't think, there, which is what he really needs.
out of all 4.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He did find a throttle. It's just too late, though, right?
Yeah,
for
it's certainly too late for throttle. He needs something else first.
It might just be too late, period. The Gerard's chumping and going to 3 here.
So, yeah, Gerard puts.
Oh, he missed. That's a tough beat there. I mean, not that it really would have got him out of this, but he still can't find a land after seeing 5 cards this turn?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, and he's having trouble using his graveyard as mana because half of his graveyard didn't go to the graveyard because of.
Yeah, On Offense is doing huge work here for Foster, and I think this game's going to end right here.
Yep. David Foster pointing out the life totals, making sure he gains his life for his lifelink. Not gonna matter. Now, what do you got, Gerard? He did draw a land. And he has the dead
Found
drop.
the dead drop.
Is Gerard at 7?
No, he took
I
4
thought he
last
took
turn.
4. I thought he was at 3 right
He's
now.
at 3, so
They didn't gain him life from the flare, right?
it looks like he might have gained life from the flare, which I don't think should happen with Anafon's in play.
They seem to be very aware of that interaction, though.
Wow.
No, the only other creature that died that way was Monastery Flock, and it didn't have 4 toughness at the time.
I just mean that they were putting it immediately into exile.
Yeah, on offensive should have beaten the Slayer trigger. I think Gerard should
wonder-
already be dead.
I wonder if we missed something there.
Yeah, possible.
Because when he chump blocked, he blocked the 5/5/6/6 whatever it ended up being. Is it a replacement effect or is it something different?
It is a replacement effect.
All
It
right,
says
so the
if a creature
creature
would be
never
put into opponent's
actually
graveyard
goes.
from anywhere,
Yeah, so it never actually
exile
goes.
it instead. Yeah.
We're going to double check. There's always a chance that there was something that wasn't quite right with the life totals before that, maybe that we didn't see, but we want to double check this.
Sure.
Because the way we had it going was that they may have just missed the 4. I don't know. I'll tell you though, Gerard's he's a real stickler for this type of stuff. Like he will really want to make sure that this is right.
And in the finals of a Grand Prix, I don't blame him. Ever.
I mean, even if it's against him, like I've seen him call the judge to fix something that was firmly not in his favor.
Right, just to make sure it happens correctly.
Right.
Well, he's been playing the game a long time. He knows the rules. He also knows the old rules, probably, before they changed.
He does. He does. Wants to know when he sits down. You want to play 6th edition rules, pre-M 10? What do you want? Damage on the stack? You can do it all. All right, so I believe the judge has gotten involved here about trying to figure out, make sure how the life totals actually panned out.
Yeah, that's what's happening. They're reading.
Because what it looks like is that Gerard said, well, maybe not Gerard said that, but they might have decided, well, on offense it hits me for 4, but I gain 4, so I'm just going to stay at 7.
Right.
Or they just forgot to write down the on-offensive. That's also possible too, the damage from on-offensive.
It's an awkward situation though. Gerard already played a turn, assuming he had that much life.
Right.
So what you may see here is that it's too late to go back. Maybe the ruling.
Interesting. That could be a big deal. I mean, it still seems like he's too far behind to really come back, but
Certainly now, all he has to do is deal with one creature.
yeah.
And David Foster not with a lot of resources remaining.
Looks like Gerard's conceding that game.
Yeah, Gerard's going to concede the game.
like,
He says,
yeah,
I don't
all
care
right.
what the ruling is, we did it wrong.
You know,
I'm supposed to be dead.
I feel like the ruling went in Gerard's favor in the sense that I think that they did decide. I'm not sure. I can't hear, but I think Gerard just said no.
That's not
No,
right.
I should have lost. Let's just scoop.
And hey, he doesn't want an asterisk on a Grand Prix victory.
No,
He wants to win it properly. So we get a game 3 here.
we're gonna get a game 3.
Yeah.
Yay! GCB's first time in the booth. Got to game 3
With the fun deck versus,
with a cool deck. Yeah.
frankly, a deck that really can give Gerard's deck trouble. You saw that, how effective an offense it was there.
What a beating.
Yeah, huge creature. Looked like Gerard had the answer. He had the 05.
Yeah.
But
And that weird gives another attacking creature a +1/+1 counter, which is kind of like, what is going on with that? Well, it's a big deal here because it gets those other creatures past the 05s and the 06s
Yep.
that Gerard's playing.
And Gerard, not the kind of deck that puts a lot of creatures out to block and punish the unoffensive for attacking.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
saying, let me put a death touch creature into play so unoffensive won't attack. No, he says, I'll put an 05 into play. Well, unoffensive can attack and get that trigger.
Totally. I think the players are explaining what happened there maybe to our guy.
They ruled that they play on George's.
Yeah, so it was actually what I thought.
The judge ruled it was
The
too late to
judge
fix
ruled
it.
that it was too late to fix it, and Gerard said, well, I'm just going to concede this game because that's correct.
Yeah.
You know, the judge has certain restrictions on what they can do as far as rewinding the game and when things are too late. But the player can at any time say, I accept your ruling, judge, thank you, and I concede this game to you.
Sure.
You know,
and he would have
that's
been,
what Gerard did.
clearly would have been dead if that were the situation because he would have been trying to play dead drop to kill 3 creatures. You know, there was no
I mean, he
play
was
for Gerard.
dead. Like, he
Yeah.
took lethal, right? They just didn't record it properly. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, on to game 3, and Gerard demonstrating a pretty honorable respect for the game there.
Totally. Yeah,
Not
that's
taking
just how he
advantage of the
rolls.
ruling. Yeah.
He's chatting him up a little bit now, too, and we get that Gerard smile finally.
Yeah. And Gerard gets to be on the play
And we get a game 3.
for game 3.
David Foster is just sitting here like, how did I find myself in my second GP facing down Gerard Fabiano? You know, it's funny, I really like the deck that David drafted for this situation as well. it's the most straightforward, just, you know, like, I'm going to play some creatures, you're going to remove yours. Like, he's not doing some crazy math deck or some deck that requires some elaborate setup for 3 turns down the road. Like, he's got to play solid fundamental Magic, but, you know, look at Gerard's deck. Like, what if they just switched?
Yep.
You know, Foster's got to be, what cards do I have in this deck, and what am I
What is
outs?
this doing? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mulligan from Gerard.
yeah, mulligan.
Gerard's taking a mulligan? That draw must have been
That must have
terrible.
been the worst case of all worst cases. He hates mulliganing.
I didn't see it, but I would assume there were no lands.
Yeah.
That's the assumption.
And he might have kept that on the draw, you know,
Yeah.
because he can draw land. But
Yeah, you could. There's always that hope.
Mulligans.
He's got Treasure Cruise, Bitter Revelation, no lands.
So it looks like David Foster kept a hand without all 3 colors.
Okay.
I saw a white and a green
And a chief.
and a chief.
So
he
he's
needs
just
the
got to
black
do
mana.
that, though, right? I
Yeah,
mean, when your
I think
mana's
so.
like this, you just have to have a little faith and a little hope that you're going to get
I
there.
think that's right.
Certainly on the draw with a balanced hand and 2 of your colors, it's reasonable. And Gerard here keeps with. How many lands do we see over there?
Is that a one-lander?
That might be a 1-lander. That would
It's
be
either
very,
a 1 or a 2.
very Gerard to keep a 1-lander. And he has 2.
No.
Two-lander.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a 3-lander. All
He
right,
has
so
all
it
3
looks like
colors.
he's actually got a pretty nice little opener here.
Just hid those from us for the drama.
Yeah. Ooh, he even found
David
a Soul
misses.
Charm.
David has on offensive. He hasn't missed yet.
Yeah, that was his
He
second
swamp off
turn.
the top.
Right.
Swamp
Well,
off-
he missed for the chief.
He missed for the chief.
I think if he hits for on offensive, he'll be just fine.
And I'll have to make some choices right away.
So Gerard's going to do him a favor and help power up his dead drop,
Yep,
and Gerard's dead drop.
exactly. One a little more powered up than the other. Going just how Gerard wanted it to go. No play from David Foster in turn 2, and he gets to start the card advantage train with an empty board.
Yeah, seriously. And it looks like it's already a tough decision for Foster.
Yeah, I think here I would probably get rid of the chief if I had a good hand, because
Yeah.
it's
Because you're going
not
to play on
perfectly
offense
effective.
anyway.
Yeah. He discards Absent Guide and Chief.
Oh, the
Absent
guide?
guide, really?
Wow.
But any land casts that.
So he has an Awaken in his hand.
Is that the empty of the pits? He did. He brought in the empty of the pits.
Oh, there it is. We don't get to see it. Oh, there's the
Wow,
swamp.
super sad.
Oh,
Wow, swamp off the top
game
for Foster.
on.
Must
Harold
be
is
nice.
Way to go, David Foster.
All right.
Just enough time. to
And
draw that
Gerard
swamp.
has the Sultai charm that we mentioned earlier that doesn't deal with Anafenza.
Deal with Anafonso. So Gerard has to find a solution here. I can't see the rest of his hand. He definitely has a land.
My mind goes to throttle next, right? Like land, go, take a hit, throttle.
That would be great. I'm sure Gerard would be thrilled. He can play something in the in-between turn.
You know
no
what's
problem.
scary though? I think Foster's got Awaken the Bear in his hand.
Oh,
So
jeez.
if he wants to play around that to try to keep his Anafenza alive, I think he can do it.
Yep.
It's really funny how this sequences work out because like if Foster misses land drops or something, then he will try to be all in on Anafenza and actually make a play like that. But if he just draws lands, he can just play stuff, he'll do it, and then that'll open the door for Gerard if he does have a throttle. It's really funny.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Gerard here, if he doesn't get a target for his Sultai Charm this turn, don't be surprised if he draws cards.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Now
he
there
is
is
gonna
a
get
target, but do you think he needs to dig anyway? Oh, he's already got a Treasure Cruise in his hand. He might be able to just be content to just 1-for-1 with his Sultai Charm here.
I think that's what you're going to see. He wants to get creatures out of there. Nope, he is going to draw. Gerard going for it. Does he have Dead Drop in his hand?
I can't see a dead drop in his hand, no, but it isn't. The angle he holds it at isn't perfect for us to view it. So
Right. If he does, that play
Currently
makes sense. If
unknown.
not, this is very ambitious from Gerard. Although, the Alpine Grizzly, I guess, not the hardest creature to answer
Ambitious,
No.
but in character.
in character.
yeah, I mean, because one of the things he can do is find something like a Highland Game, right? No, it doesn't actually do
Won't
it.
do it
No,
in this case.
Anafenza. Oh no, oh no. Anafenza is just doing work. That swamp. How do you not jump out of your chair if you're Foster? Like, boom.
Is he going to discard Treasure
He
Cruise?
is thinking about discarding treasures. He has the Dead Drop in his hand. He must.
Okay. So he knows that the dead drop would wipe away all that anyway, and the Treasure Cruise wouldn't come online for many, many turns away.
If he does have the Dead Drop, And it looks like, yes, he does.
There's Gerard equalizing. What a huge play.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And
he went for it and he got there.
And that key card is gone.
Yeah. Unoffensive being off the board is like a huge sigh of relief, and awkwardly Foster draws his own dead drop.
Yeah.
Could
not
come in handy
once we
later.
can-
I'm not saying it's bad, but it doesn't
No
get what he
creatures.
wants right now. He has no
Abzan
creatures.
Charm, Awaken the Bear, dead drop.
And I think David Foster maybe has to use the Absent.
You got to draw some
Yeah,
cards
draw
here,
two, for
right?
sure.
Yeah. I would have.
I'm actually surprised he didn't do it main phase.
You do it there, right?
You do it main phase.
Sultai Soothsayer for Gerard Fabiano, and the train is rolling.
Gerard recharges his hand with one of 4 cards, recharges his graveyard after the dead drop, and gets a board presence. But the best card he could have to follow up that last turn.
Casually passes the turn back with shields up, cards in hand, ready to rumble here.
I
and
wonder-
Foster just does nothing.
I have
That's a little stubborn.
I have a thought about what David Foster might be thinking.
All right, you tell me.
Do you remember game 1?
Yeah,
Gerard barely managed to kill him. David Foster has a lot of removal.
totally.
His
Just
hand is-
kill all
I mean,
the
that's what we were
creatures.
talking about with the
Yeah.
kill shot earlier.
Yeah.
If he could bring in the kill shot and say, how many threats do you actually have? Because I'm going to kill 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. So not going to work out if Gerard hits that Rakshasa secret soon.
Yeah, it's such a
But one
sketchy plan.
He's holding
though.
land now. He's got 2 land in his hand.
Who does?
Foster.
Okay.
So he's doing it.
I mean, also, I think, yeah, it's dead drop time.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. It was a
Just a
monastery
flock.
flock, yeah. I mean, I think Gerard is like, that's probably the least harmful dead drop I've ever witnessed. Right? Like, sure, I got 1 card back and you took out my
There it
more
is.
Gets Awaken the Bear in the
and,
forest.
and a forest. So he was holding those lands in hand, but he needed to play 1 to get the dead
Did
drop.
Sagu
off.
Mauler just get spelled? No,
No,
Flare
it's a
got
Flare
spelled.
guy.
And there's a morph.
Yeah,
and I-
Sagu Mauler is David's problem now. Dead drop, I
Do you think
believe,
that's
is
it?
the removal spell that can kill a Sagu Mauler. And he just used it.
Oh, can't be a Saga Mauler there, right? Nah, it was.
He would not play
It's
that
an
face
abomination.
An
down.
abomination. Exactly. He would just windmill it face up. And speaking of windmilling things face up, here's another abomination for Gerard Fabiano, who really looks like he's in the driver's seat, even though Abzan Charm's going to take it out. Now he's got David Foster down to no spells left. He doesn't know that, but that is the case.
And Gerard with
We found a threat.
the big threat.
Gerard Fabiano ready to start doing battle.
It could go all the way.
Gerard has 4 creatures that allow him to loot when
Yep.
they hit. Okay, an Enoch Bondkin, not bad, but not what you want to be doing here at this late stage of the game.
Yeah. Gerard probably will be perfectly happy to attack into it, not for the trade.
Yeah, you'd think so.
And he does.
Bang. David Foster really can't block anyway. So he's going to start churning through his deck as Gerard. He had a couple of lands in hand, drew 1 there, discarded it.
It would be hard to
And
imagine.
There it is, Abomination of Gadul, both loot creatures, and David
Wow.
Foster's out of gas.
Out of
double
removal.
land in
You
hand.
know who would love to loot here? David Foster.
I do.
David Foster would love to loot.
He's going to level up his Enoch Bondkin, but I think Gerard is in the home stretch here for his 3rd Grand Prix victory. Oh, and a Bitter Revelation is going to just stoke up his hand even more. So now David Foster has transitioned to the milieu plan to try
He
to
has.
convince Gerard to just kill himself in a value explosion, but it's not going to happen. Remember, the Elder grew here too, so this is actually a hit for 5.
Putting him at exactly 3 hits from the team.
And Gerard is just sculpting the perfect hand here. He's discarded 3 lands now. Uh-oh.
There comes
Quick
the count.
library check. You got to keep an eye on it.
And he says, all
Who
right,
do
it's
you
kind of low.
mandrels?
Let's go for it.
Says, I don't think you got anything, kid. And he's right. Foster, I don't know what his outs are at this point. Longshot Squad isn't one of them.
His outs are to draw more removal spells.
Yeah,
and he's already used a lot of
And he's
removal.
used a lot of them. He's got, I think, a Murderous Cut somewhere in there or something. But yeah, this isn't going to be pretty here if Foster can't come up with some really powerful stuff really quickly. I mean, remember, Gerard does still have Sagu Mauler floating around in his list as well, and I don't think David Foster has an answer to that at left.
His answer could be having that be the last card in Gerard's deck.
GCB with the out.
There's always an out.
It's true. There's always an out.
There's not really always an out, but
All right,
David
we're
Foster.
down the stretch here. Foster's at 12. Gerard Fabiano has found throttle to kill Longshot Squad. That's going to allow a big attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. It's going to put Foster all the way down to 3.
Last chance
Abomination
for
is now
Foster.
lethal.
Abomination's lethal. Hootie Mandrill's lethal-ish.
Well, that Bond can stop the Mandrill, so he really just needs to stop that Abomination.
And he doesn't find anything.
not
Gerard's
gonna
going to
do
win
it.
his 3rd GP.
That is not going to do it.
Gerard Fabiano sits down with the plan he wanted in mind at this draft. 2nd picks Rakshasa's Secret and is about to win the GP with it.
Executes his plan. The only game that he has lost so far was a game where there was a bad ruling and he conceded because of it. Well, not a bad ruling. I think it was a good ruling,
It
but
was a good
a ruling because the players made a mistake.
That's right.
And he conceded because of it.
Wow. Gerard just doing it his way. You know?
You know, you look at the way
He's going to be able to set up his whole library.
so you looked at the way the draft went.
Oh, Gerard. You're just a beautiful human being. He's literally going to be able to set up his entire next draw steps for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Well, he's shuffling them. You know, you can put those in
You can
order.
do this in any order you want. I guess he's saying it doesn't matter.
Yeah. He says, I'm just going to pick up the Disdainful Stroke.
So he's just getting his
and the Saga
disdainful
Mauler.
stroke. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And his Mauler. And here we go.
Here's the
Attack you for lethal.
David Foster clearly has a
Bang.
good poker face because
He does. He's holding it, and he says no blocks, and that's it. Gerard Fabiano is our champion here in Baltimore. Look at how relieved he is. He can't believe it. He's like, how did I do this?
He worked for it. Put him
Wow, Gerard Fabiano is the winner here in Baltimore. Congratulations to him. He had to get through Craig Wesco and Ben Stark, and in a tough match against David Foster to take this thing down.
2 turn 3 Anafonses against his deck. He had to beat it once. So that was a great challenge in the finals for Gerard.